Well, good afternoon. I've had today a number of meetings on my last day in office. I met with the city manager this morning, the medical officer of health, Dr. Davila, and the deputy mayor, Jennifer McKelvie, who I'm pleased is joining me now, and she'll be speaking in a moment or two. All of these meetings dealt with substantive issues facing the city, and I sincerely wish the deputy mayor and the next mayor and the city council all the very best in trying to move Toronto forward. I'm happy that we received confirmation today from the province that the $235 million they had pledged towards our 2022 COVID-19 funding shortfall has been processed, and that a transfer agreement will be coming to the March 21st Executive Committee meeting. I've had a number of jobs in my life. I've been a lawyer, I've been a political advisor, I've been a corporate executive, a broadcaster, the commissioner of a professional sports league. These are all fine positions to have, and I was proud to have them. But the career I wanted the most, and the one I was privileged enough to have, was in public service. To me, there is no greater occupation, because it is being part of something bigger than yourself. And for myself, Toronto has been my cause. I honestly believe that Toronto is the greatest city in the world, a city that others envy and imitate, a city whose challenges almost entirely arise from the fact that so many people wish to be here and wish to build their futures here. I work tirelessly, day and night, weekends, to help meet those challenges, and you never had any complaint from me, you never would, to help maintain and advance our position as the greatest city in the world. I didn't always get it right. When I didn't, I took responsibility, as a leader must, including in this instance, when many were hurt more than me. When I became mayor, the city was struggling. We were deeply divided, downtown versus suburbs, left versus right, so-called, and on it went. The city was in turmoil. The city government was in turmoil. The great hopes and dreams that we had for our city were stalled. I felt that I could help, and I offered to serve with calmness and commitment. What I was interested in and what I wanted to do is to restore our commitment to the city's well-being and growth. Just to do the hard work day in and day out, week after week, that Toronto requires of its mayor, that Toronto needs from its mayor. Over the next 6 years, we saw the growth of a sort that has not been experienced in decades, and maybe ever, in the history of this city. And I won't suggest for a moment that it was because of any one thing or series of things I or anyone in the government did. Not at all. It was because, and I address this to the people that I had the privilege to serve, it was because of you, the people of the city. It was because of your ingenuity and your hard work and the money that you sent to the government in taxes to allow us to provide the services that we provided. It was your desire to do more and to do better. All I tried to do was to be a mayor whose energy and drive matched that of the city itself. A mayor who tried to ensure that every single part of the city, every community, every person was included in the success story that is Toronto. When the pandemic came, and so much of what we have accomplished seemed to be at risk, I again tried to channel that sense of shared purpose that I saw every day from our incredible healthcare workers and others, all the people who showed up because they didn't have the option of staying home. They knew that the only way through this terrible crisis we faced, a crisis unprecedented in the history of this city, was to be in it together and to be there for one another. And I tried to be there for them. I tried to honor them in only the way that I could, which was to be on the job that I had every single day, all day, by always being ready to serve them, by making the extra effort to communicate with them, to comfort them, to explain to them, to work hard and to work together. That's the Toronto way. That's what makes being mayor of this city the best job anyone could ever have. And it's why it breaks my heart to leave. But leaving was the right thing to do, as hard as it might be. Nous avons accompli beaucoup de travail ensemble pendant la pandémie et d'autres fois, alors que cela me brise le cœur. De partir, c'est la bonne chose à faire. Toronto City Council isn't the big machine of party politics. It's an issue by issue, corner by corner, neighborhood by neighborhood test of our willingness and our ability to work together on behalf of the people of this city. Their needs, their priorities, their future. That's what I tried to bring, that kind of sensibility. That commitment to working hard, to listening, and to setting aside the often brutal sport of politics to get some worthwhile things done. What do I want to be remembered for? I know my departure and its circumstances will rank high on some lists, but I do hope that in time other things will stand out. That we are finally back to building transit. Many kilometers of new lines that we so badly need to connect people to opportunity and get the city moving. We took decades off doing that before I was the mayor. We're back to building transit. that the government is back in the business of getting housing built so that people can afford a decent place to live, that we kept taxes affordable while also making critical investments in frontline services, establishing the kind of financial discipline that respects the people who pay the bills. But more than anything, what I hope is remembered of my time is that I did the work of keeping the city stable and moving forward. That I did the work of reaching out to those who share my deep love for this city and try to work with them to make things better. And that I tried to demonstrate my respect every day for every single community in Toronto. I wanted all of them, without exception, to be included. I wanted all of them, without exception, to feel recognized by their mayor. This may well be the single important aspect of a job of mayor of this very diverse city, to bring people together, to help them to learn about each other, and whenever discrimination or hatred show up themselves anywhere, anytime, then to do what I've always said, which is to stand up, to speak up, to show up, and to act. In this era of polarization and division you've heard me speak about often, that responsibility of a mayor will have much to do with whether this city can continue to be successful and united going forward. I want to say thank you to my staff, past and present, both from my election campaigns and in the mayor's office. This office, for which I have so much respect, as great as it is, can only be as great as the men and women who serve in it. It is indeed great, and I know this staff will serve Deputy Mayor McKelvie and the people of this city as they have served me, with devotion and with dedication and with incredible energy and hard work. Thank you to my colleagues on City Council and to the Toronto Public Service. The Toronto Public Service, you've heard me speak of them before. They exceeded everything I expected when I came here, and I had experience running large organizations with the very best of the private sector. And I can tell you that the people here that worked with me for these 8 years are the very best that you could find anywhere, private or public. They wake up every day, and I'm talking about people senior and in every single corner of the public service. They wake up every day, they show up every day, every week, and every month of the year, ready to serve, ready to support, ready to provide services to people, and they do an excellent and often unheralded job. Most of all, I want to say thank you to the people of the City of Toronto. They have put their faith and their trust in me. They have received me with a warmth as I've gone from community to community, event to event, day to day, that I could never have imagined. And I feel like they're part of my family, and I hope that they feel like I'm part of theirs. And I want to say thank you to those in particular who have reached out in these last number of days to offer their support to me. Hundreds and hundreds of people. I will never forget the kindness that they showed to me during a difficult time. Toronto is a great city. It is a great city. It's fine for us to say this who live here, but we sometimes will sneer at the people who externally, will say that we're great. And as a city that isn't all that big necessarily compared to other global cities, we rank high on every list that is ever done of cities that you'd want to live in, cities that are livable, cities that you'd want to invest in. And that's not by accident. You can't discount all of those lists. And it will continue to grow greater as long as we continue to care about its future, but more importantly, as long as we continue to care about each other and support each other. The pandemic was the best possible demonstration you could ever see of the DNA that makes this city special, where people genuinely do care about each other. Their leaders care about them. The leaders are sensitive to who they are and how they're different from one another. And what makes us strong is growing stronger. And that's why we've got to continue to grow stronger. What challenges us is being overcome. As we speak, we are working on those challenges, and they're the same challenges being faced in many other places. And I leave knowing absolutely confidently that our city's best days lie ahead. I leave with great hopes, I leave with high spirits, I leave with deep humility and ever deeper gratitude. While I hope to be very much focused on my family and rebuilding, I will be looking for other ways I can contribute in the days ahead. That's in my DNA. In the meantime, I want to say thank you to the people of the City of Toronto for the honor and the privilege of allowing me to serve the city that I've spent my entire life in and that I love so deeply. As my time as mayor comes to an end, I think it's important that we are here demonstrating an orderly transition, as people would expect. And that is why I've tried to conduct myself in the way that I think people would expect. And so now I will take my leave, and I will turn things over to Deputy Mayor McKelvie to speak and to take your questions. I will just say to you that while obviously these events are unexpected, I very carefully considered who I would appoint as the deputy mayor of this city, because you would do that. You would take great care in appointing the person that you're appointing as deputy mayor. And this is a woman who has the intelligence, she has the personality and disposition, she has the dedication, the determination, the experience on City Council to do an excellent job stepping into this leadership role and taking this city forward, as I am sure she will. Thank you.
One question, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to extend my thanks to Mayor Tory for his many years of service here at City Hall. Working together, we've been able to accomplish a great deal on housing, on transit, and on other priorities that matter most to residents. We will miss his strong and steady presence here at City Hall, and I'm thankful that he's been our mayor since 2014. He worked very long days, often 7 days a week, because he loved the city and wanted to do a good job for all residents. I wish his family, I wish him well in the months ahead and fully respect his calls for privacy at this time. My top priority, and the priority of all council, is the continued operations of local government for our residents. I was honored to be appointed deputy mayor at the start of this term by Mayor John Tory, and I am completely committed to fulfilling the duties and the obligations of that role. And I will be making sure that we can continue to deliver on the priorities on which Mayor Tory received a mandate from voters last October: keeping our city safe, getting housing built, getting transit built, and making sure the nuts and bolts city services continue to be delivered in the best possible way. As deputy mayor, I'm overseeing the operations of the office of the mayor until a new mayor is elected by residents. All staff are continuing to work in the office of the mayor, and that work remains the same and continues nonstop. Residents can rest assured that my entire focus at this time is ensuring a smooth transition and continued good governance. As I said yesterday, I will not be seeking to run for mayor in the upcoming by-election. I will be entirely focused on being a steady deputy mayor for the city for as long as needed. Representing the residents of my ward and ensuring a smooth, stable transition until a new mayor is elected requires my full, undivided attention. I sincerely appreciate the ongoing collaboration of my council colleagues and the hard-working City of Toronto staff who continue to demonstrate the utmost professionalism running our city services. I've met with the city clerk, and the city is working to prepare for a by-election, which will be the largest by-election ever held in Canada. The clerk has been very clear. This preparation will take time, and he has committed to bringing a report to the next scheduled meeting of council on March 29th that allows council to complete the steps required by the City of Toronto Act to formally declare the office of the mayor vacant and to pass a bylaw which authorizes the filling of the vacancy by by-election. This is a great city. We have great challenges, and we need to tackle those right now. I'm committed to working with my council colleagues through this period and through the by-election so that we can continue to meet those challenges head on. I wish all Toronto residents a very restful, a very happy Family Day weekend. And on behalf of City Council, I thank all the city workers and our emergency first responders who will be continuing to work throughout this weekend to keep our city safe and running smoothly. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Deputy Mayor, you looked emotional when Mayor Tory was giving his final address. I don't want to exacerbate that, but can you talk a little bit about him and your feelings right now?
Yes, I think I am a little emotional. I have a lot of respect for Mayor Tory. He's the man that I admire a lot. I admire his sense of duty, his sense of honor. I admire how he's taken full responsibility and how he's resigned. I think he used his heart and he looked to what was best for him, what was best for his family, and what was best for the City of Toronto, and I think that's admirable.
Deputy Mayor, did you ask him to stay?
He called me on Friday evening. I was in Ottawa about a half an hour before the press conference. He told me that there was going to be a story, that it was true, and that he would be resigning. I will say that I was emotional at that time also. I burst into tears. I asked him if he would consider taking a leave of absence instead, and he told me that this is what he wanted to do for his family.
Will you be calling a special meeting any earlier than it's currently scheduled for at the end
It's very important that we listen to the advice of our city clerk on this matter. This is going to be the largest by-election that has ever been run in Canada. That will take some time and some preparation, and so I'm looking to their advice. I think it's important that we ensure that it is a fair election that's run well, we have the appropriate polling stations that are needed, and that it is executed in a way that gives credible results that the City of Toronto residents can count on.
Do you think that the city will be able to move forward with major decisions before a new mayor is elected?
I am confident that the budget that we passed on Wednesday gives us a clear mandate for the year. I think that the budget that we all came together on and accept shows the priorities of the city, and I have no doubt that all of City Council is going to be able to come together to advance the very, very important priorities that we have around community safety, building transit, building housing, and ensuring that our city services continue to operate efficiently on a day-to-day basis.
Will you be spearheading talks with the province and the federal government about the COVID gap, or will that wait until the next mayor is elected?
I think it's important that we continue discussions with the other levels of government, with the province, with the federal government. I will be looking for collaboration with my city colleagues on City Council so that we can work together, so that we can continue to make those agreements that are needed to ensure the finances of our city are in good hands. I think as a council, we also have to come together to demand that we have a new fiscal framework for cities. And I think that's something that provinces across the city are looking at. And so I think we need to continue on that charge, but we certainly have to look for very collaborative ways of doing that.
Mayor Tory talked about potentially even going door to door in Liberal MPs' ridings and saying, you know, your government is not giving us this money. Is all that kind of aggressive action that was talked about to try and get a new deal, is that on hold now?
Well, I think what we need is for all of council to start to advocate to their MPPs and to their MPs to outline the very dire circumstances that our city is in right now because of those shortfalls associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm hopeful that working together we can build those relationships with the province, build those relationships with the federal government, and hopefully secure a new deal for municipalities.
Can you tell us a little bit about the thinking behind Mayor Tory staying on to pass the budget? There was a lot of discussion after his resignation that perhaps he should have stepped aside and allowed City Council to have that debate, perhaps change the budget.
So the way that the budget is worded, it even says the mayor request, and the word mayor and that language are used through there. Mayor Tory worked very hard on this budget alongside the staff in his office, alongside the public sector. So I think it was important that the mayor stayed to the end of the budget. I think it gives credibility to the legitimacy of that budget, and I'm very proud of what we did on Wednesday working together. Are they all going to be like this? Thank you very much. And I just want to say to the media, you've been very good about respecting the privacy of everybody this week, so thank you for that.